Welcome to the Intimate Partner Violence video miniseries 2021 for Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Diane Lewis and I'm a victim service provider. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the types of abuse that occur in intimate partner relationships. When speaking of IPV, physical abuse is the first type of abuse that comes to mind. Physically abusive behavior includes physically aggressive behavior. A few examples of these would be hitting, striking the victim, burning the victim, shooting, stabbing, even pulling the victim's hair or pushing them. Another type of physical abuse is withholding physical needs, such as depriving the person of sleep, denying them food, money, or medication or help if they're sick or injured, locking the victim in or out of the house, refusing to give them clothing or water, and any other necessities. Then there's the threat of physical abuse, threatening to or actually injuring the victim or others such as children, pets, or family members. There is also physically harmful behavior that might be indirect, such as forcibly restraining the victim against their will, hitting, striking, or throwing objects in anger, even if it's not directing at them, or holding the victim hostage. Sexual abuse occurs when the abuser uses sex in an exploitative manner or forces sex on the other person. It involves both physical and verbal behavior. Sexual abuse includes, but is not limited to, not considering the victim's desire to have sex and using force, coercion, guilt, or manipulation, making the victim have unwanted sex with them, others, or be involuntarily involved in prostitution. Exploiting a vulnerable victim, that is one who's unable to make an informed decision about involvement in sexual activity. That could be someone who's asleep, intoxicated, drugged, someone who's disabled, someone who's too young or too old, and someone who may be dependent upon or afraid of the abuser. Making contact with the victim in any non-consensual way, whether it includes unwanted penetration or touching on any part of the victim's body. Laughing or ridiculing another person's sexuality or body, making offensive statements, insulting them, name-calling them concerning their sexual preferences or their behaviors. It also includes exhibiting excessive jealousy resulting in false accusations of infidelity, having affairs with other people and using that information to taunt the victim, or withholding sex from the victim as a means of control. Control is a way for one partner to maintain dominance over the other partner. The person exercising the controlling behavior believes that their behavior is justified. Controlling behaviors include monitoring one's partner or spying. That's checking their car's mileage, GPS, checking their phones, checking their laptop, screening calls, not allowing them to make or receive calls. It also includes taking away their freedom or personal choice. That's telling them how to wear their hair, telling them how to dress, whether it be too revealing or too conservative, and just not allowing the victim to make certain decisions for themselves, especially when it comes to their personal well-being. It also includes invading the person's privacy, showing up to check on them, not allowing the person their personal space and time, reading their journal, and once again checking their phone. There's also the case of forcing or encouraging dependency, where you make the victim believe they're incapable of doing things on their own. There's also using the children to control the other parent, whether that be asking the children to bring back information or threatening to hurt the children. Verbal abuse is any abusive language used to degrade, embarrass, or threaten the victim. It includes, but it's not limited to, threatening to kill or hurt the victim, their family, their children, their pets, their property, name-calling, telling the victim they're unattractive or undesirable, yelling, screaming, shouting, and even refusing to speak to the victim, as we like to call it, the silent treatment. Isolation occurs when the abuser tries to keep the victim from resources that may help them to leave the relationship. It limits them or excludes the victim from contact with anyone but the abuser, eventually leaving the victim without any access to external or internal resources to change their lifestyle. Some isolating behaviors include preventing the victim from seeing persons who they want to see, like their children, their parents, their siblings, social workers, and even counselors. Keeping the victim from doing activities they want to do, from setting and keeping goals such as completing new courses or learning new life skills, controlling how the victim thinks and feels, withholding social support or other resources from the victim that would help them to liberate themselves, and keeping the victim from contact with the world and other individuals whose beliefs and perceptions do not reinforce those of the abusers. Emotional abuse occurs when one person exploits the other's vulnerabilities, insecurities, and character. Emotionally abusive behaviors include insulting, criticizing, degrading, or humiliating the victim's self-confidence, attacking their self-worth and self-esteem. Gaslighting is manipulating someone by using reality-distorting statements or behaviors to create confusion and insecurity. This could be denying the abuse, hiding items, not following through on stated intentions, or even questioning the person's mental stability. Emotional abuse also includes consistently ignoring, disregarding, or neglecting your partner's needs, forcing them to take drugs or alcohol, using any form of coercion, manipulation, which is disempowering to them, threatening, accusing, or intimidating them to cause harm, whether it be emotional or physical. For example, threatening to kill their partner or even kill themselves. Then there's also the issue of economic abuse, when one partner attempts to control the other through manipulating the economic resources. Financially abusive behaviors include controlling the family income or shared assets and resources, such as controlling all the financial decisions, reducing your partner's freedom to plan, hiding or taking funds, refusing to work to contribute to the family income, refusing to pay child support, or even having a double standard when it comes to spending. Then there's the case of exploiting your resources. This includes trying to control your use of your savings or your earnings, taking money or using your credit card without your permission, borrowing money or making charges without repayment, feeling entitled to your money or your assets, demanding you turn over your income, opening your bank statements or other financial records, and even requiring you to bail them out of difficult financial situations that they may have gotten themselves involved in. Then there's interfering with your income potential or your ability to earn money or gain assets by attempting to control how you do so. They may do that by criticizing or minimizing your job choice, pressuring you to quit your job, sabotaging your work responsibilities, or even preventing you from working. This does not include persons who have come to an understanding that there would be one person in the house who's working and another who's at home to care for responsibilities within the household. There's also spending money for necessities on non-essential items, such as taking your rent money, food money, things for clothes, utilities, and spending this on drugs, alcohol, and hobbies. Then we have stalking. Stalking is intentionally or knowingly engaging in a course of action directed to someone to cause them fear for their safety or fear of safety for their loved ones. Stalking behaviors include harassing telephone calls, messages, or notes, sending cryptic messages in the mail, via email now, or even hang up telephone calls. Also vandalizing your partner's property, surveilling your partner, watching them from a distance, watching their workplace, watching their home, or even following them on car or foot. Also includes trespassing and not respecting visitation limitations or violating restraining orders. So for today's citizen question, I'll be tackling the question, what is the baseline for intimate partner violence? I'll try my best to answer this the best way I know how. Being ignorant of what abuse is would tend to keep you in an abusive situation. So someone may leave a physically abusive relationship and go into a relationship that they deem to be better or non-abusive. However, the abuse in the new relationship may be a different type of abuse, as we have just learned about different types. So for example, I once knew a woman who said that in her previous relationship she was being beaten, but her new partner does not abuse her at all. He just, whenever he goes to the bar and he drinks and he returns home, he's just cuss and carry on a little bit. In a case like that, this person would have moved from one abusive relationship to the next simply because they don't understand the different types of abuse or behaviors that are considered abusive. And as we have just discussed, there are many different types of abuse and abusive behaviors. And it's always best to seek counseling or go to couples therapy to sort out these issues. However, if your partner is unwilling to go to counseling or discuss the issues that you may be having with them, there's a chance of the relationship becoming more abusive, especially if they don't see an issue with their behavior. In cases like that, most people tend to leave the relationship because it broke down so much. Some people may also display abusive behavior without considering it abusive. So, in answering this question the best way I know how to, I would say the baseline for IPV would be anyone who purposefully violates your boundaries and displays abusive behaviors, even though you have spoken to them about it and addressed it, and they're unwilling to change. Look out for the next episode on October 14, 2021, where we have an in-depth interview with someone who was a victim of intimate partner violence. Should you have any queries on intimate partner violence or the information we just discussed, please feel free to reach me at this email address. Thanks for listening. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of intimate partner violence or any type of other domestic violence, please take note of the following agencies on the screen and their contact numbers for help. If you're experiencing or you're currently witnessing any sort of violence, please contact the emergency services at 999 or 555 for immediate assistance.